out of the house, go run. And we got old enough that we could drive, so we'd take up, and we put the younger cousins in the back and drive through all the really shitty areas of the snow and fuck them out into the snow. Have a blast with that.
And a fairly new marriage, is that right?
Sparely, yeah.
Because you got married when?
Hardcore. Oh yeah.
2014, just a couple years in.
Yeah.
Well, and so the whole little jam you got going on here.
It doesn't sound like the right one, but I know it is. It's because it's the deluxe edition.
With
For our
Eminem.
house.
Let's make sure that one's
I know. Sounds like it could get.
I had one where I didn't look at it. It's totally on me, and the words were highlighted on the
no.
screen. And all of a sudden it was like F-bomb, 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 and I'm like, cut
Turn
it!
it off! I'm like,
Amber's going, you told me you looked at it. I was like, I looked at the first part.
oh, especially when the words are there, because otherwise you might not notice.
Yeah.
This is the right one.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what one you're talking about.
I'm all caffeinated. We can do this team meeting in like 12 minutes. That would be max. I could do it probably at 6.5. Everybody get ready.
Yeah, see, that's
Just need to be able to. What's up, buddy? You know, right on the windows and all that kind of fun stuff.
No, right on the
Should
window.
go over well, right?
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Whatever you do.
I say do it.
Yeah. Like all I gotta do is bob and weave.
Ask for forgiveness, not permission.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm a little.
It's usually
too,
how he does that. Patrick is not. Exactly what one you're looking at or looking for. It's not here.
I'm really good. I'm back, and I'm done with school. So
Oh, good for you.
I just turned in my last assignments class. Like,
Want to do that?
the
Huh?
Thanksgiving break.
Welcome to the jungle.
All my teachers were like, hey, I don't want to grade anymore. If you want to finish your
That's why I
assignments,
go straight
like,
to GNR on those.
Go for it. You're done. I
moments.
was like, John. So both you all-nighters, and I'm like, I should be done with these classes. You can turn those in. I have one more quiz, but I'm gonna start officially and not stop next semester. I'm ready. I'm done with school.
It's nice to take a long break.
I'll have a little bit of break, get ready for everything, and then we can start.
You're like, oh, really?
Officially.
There it is.
I'm at ACC, so right now, and then my credits for going to my bachelor's degree transfer over, but I want to take a break from school because it's just too much. Everything's like backwards.
You know, Amber, I run hot enough for everyone. We don't need a temporary heater up here.
So I'm ready to work for now and then finish my
Got the
bachelor's
money.
in a year.
How much longer do you have?
Like 2 semesters.
Oh,
It's, yeah, which I'm not like, if it was like 3, like another 2 years, I'd be like, but since it's so little now, it's like all my
Combined?
either like marketing projects or stuff, business classes, which I've taken mostly at ACC, so
For 2 people?
I'm not too worried about it. It's good to start, because they're all like, what do you do? I'm like, real estate. They're like, well, that's hard. I'm like, yeah, we're doing it right now. I'm here.
Oh, yeah, we need to
Like,
buy.
oh, so I just want to start. So, yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
happy break.
I'm gonna go run through the office with that.
Give just a minute, then we'll get rocking and rolling here.
Do some axle moves.
You know, I know. Little air guitar going. Right? Spin the drumsticks. Tossing them out.
But you only have one arm.
What's that?
Isn't it axle that only has one arm?
No, that's Def Leppard.
That's Leopard's drummer.
Yep.
I think one of them.
Yeah, no, yeah, GNR didn't, that was Def Leppard and some other ones.
I would say everyone's already started Christmas changing things.
Yeah, no Christmas.
Right.
Was it that condo?
Mr. Eno, how are you? Who's our guest?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Well,
I'm taking a seat. They were from Buffalo and they
picked a great team to join
would have
on.
been playing around coming up.
That'd be fun.
I heard you tell her you were.
It was either that or they were gonna buy other good friends. But then they just take with my mind. So once while they're up here, my parents, they saw this house and we went and looked at it, wrote an offer, did the inspection the next day, cash closed 2 weeks. Meeting when we get. We were like that.
Beat me in fantasy football, didn't
I was
you?
just looking at that,
Yeah,
yeah, you're just looking at it, I was like, okay, we don't have to.
Here's your item of gratitude. I gave you the game, right? I mean,
I needed it though, cause
I was trying to help.
I was losing it. I was getting, my mom was talking a bunch of, little trash talk, and I was like, okay, hold on. I got 4 weeks that I've projected to win, so let's just wait.
Right? Awesome.
It's not,
All right, Amber, let's cut it. Let's go. Let's rock and roll. Awesome. All right, how's everyone doing?
Very good.
Great. All right, good. Let's start with items of gratitude. I'd like to say something actually first, and that is a massive gratitude, not just to the leadership team, but also to the amount of energy and involvement in Bud Doyle with our pie pickup date. I mean, holy cow, that was awesome. I mean, that really was awesome, right, Deb? That was about 2 times or 3 times the amount of energy and people coming through that we had last year.
Man, this place was packed.
It was packed.
It was packed. It was hard. I mean, every table in here, but there were people including adults, making cookies and doing Christmas crafts and moving on over the office and walking through. And we ran out of room everywhere. And Rex had his whole people over on the other side where all the sofas were at. We need to have in that room. And the Duncans, holy smoke.
No kidding. That was awesome.
It was everybody's walking, we're at Duncan's, we're at Duncan's, we're at Duncan's.
Good.
So I don't know how many pies you gave away, but it was.
There were a lot on the table, that's for sure.
We gave away 30 here and we delivered 20 more.
Wow.
That's awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tracy said 50 total.
50 total. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
there was
incredible.
a lot of pies that went out the door. And
It
it was
was
a lot
so
of fun. Bud is the most amazing Santa. And then we had to have Santa number 2.
We did. We did, which was awesome.
A little shorter
Thanks
Santa.
to, yeah,
second round.
thanks to Seamus for jumping in and, so we didn't have a couple kids in total tears and meltdown on that. So that was awesome.
So I had something to add to that. Actually, I had Haven here, and he was all, well, depended on the moment. He's either smiles or not. And so Bud was sitting with Haven and taking a picture, and Haven's trying to pull his beard. And then after that, a little bit later, Seamus, you had been hanging out with Haven, and this is the funniest picture, right? So Seamus gets changed to help out, and thank you for being Santa. And so I was like, here, Haven, you're Santa again. And all of a sudden, a 7-month-old looks and goes, I know you. And I got this picture where they're both staring at each other and neither one of them are smiling. and Seamus' look on his face is, I'm completely caught. And Haven's like, no way, man. So that was awesome. So thank you to everyone for participating in that, for really just setting the stage, especially not just for this year, but for next year. I mean, that's awesome. That's my item of gratitude. What's another one?
I second yours.
You second mine. Awesome. Rob Tate.
I took 3 weeks off in November, and I didn't have to do anything. My team handled all the transactions. Like, I would talk to them like once every 3 or 4 days, and they'd be like, "Everything's fine." I didn't check my emails. Like, it was crazy and fantastic. So I'm grateful for my team.
In Boston, now he speaks British.
Yes, I'm very British now.
Yeah, I was gonna say across the pond.
I'll do it across the pond with a bloody colonist. I don't know if you know.
Now I do. That's awesome. What's another one? What's one more?
Well, there's heat coming back today. That's kind of
Hey!
so.
I was feeling like I was back in Alaska. It's
Yeah,
gonna break out the shorts and flip flops.
between the heat being out in the building here yesterday and almost all of Highlands Ranch and Centennial and part of Morocco had no internet
Yeah.
So, you can stay home and have no internet, or you can come to the office and have internet and they'll bring your blankie. But thanks to everybody for putting up with it. They're working on it really hard.
I was just gonna walk around in circles really fast, get that friction going, get this thing heated up quick. All right, well, let's get started here. So, upcoming listings. Who has a listing that's coming up? Let's talk about that first. Roxy.
So I have a commercial listing coming up. It is in a medical complex that already has a few doctors. So there's a few spaces in there that'd be perfect for like a acupuncturist or nurse practitioner, massage therapist, something that isn't equipment intensive or heavy. So if you have any clients or people that are in those industries but would like to get out of their house or they want to expand their little business, some great spaces there. So awesome.
So where's it at?
Hamden and Santa Fe.
That's a good location.
Good area. Fantastic. How about another upcoming listing?
Yes, it's actually just right across the street from Chuck E. Cheese.
Upcoming listings. All right, how about in price improvements? Check.
Got one, my house in Camerglow in the Meadows. We just improved that again about an hour ago. We're now at 447.
Nice.
That's our 4-bedroom, all upstairs, 2,500 square feet, and over 1,000 square foot basement as well. So the seller's motivated. They need to go.
Good deal under 450. Awesome. 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 Another upcoming or price improvement. Price improvement. Okay, how about buyer needs? All right, let's take a moment. Thanksgiving has happened. December is here. December is here, right? What are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are your clients seeing that's going on in the market right now?
Not a lot of new inventory coming on right now.
Okay, that's an indicator. Not a lot of new inventory.
I showed 7 houses last Saturday, and then 6 of those 7 are under contract right now, which tells me
Interesting.
what is out there should be moving.
Wow, that's actually an incredible value proposition to talk with buyers about right now. Because sitting on the fence is not going to help out. Someone else will come in and grab it. So that's awesome, Shannon. Thank you. What else are we seeing? What are we hearing?
I'm seeing a ton of price improvements.
Okay. Lot of price improvements, huh?
Yeah,
So-
I've got people on a portal and about probably a good 50 to 60% of the notifications are price reductions and back on market, which is also very interesting.
So what's wild about that, we're not seeing new inventory, we're seeing recycled inventory. Where instead of, and now it's a pricing war, right? So we're seeing that staircase pricing that we talked about, gosh, what, about a month ago? Whereas we can either make the decision to price high or higher than the market and then chase, which chasing the market means no matter what the price reduction's going on, the market's beating it. So then it's a constant game where you're playing catch up, which you can imagine what those conversations look like with our sellers, right? Start to get a little bit antsy, a little bit fascinated around that. So we're seeing that the recycled inventory. What else are we seeing?
Investors.
Interesting, Robin. So you're seeing more investors start coming to the table.
I'm seeing a house I'm going to look at today. It's a for sale by owner. When I pulled up all the homes around him, almost all of them were investors, and that's in a $500,000 range.
Ooh, why do you think that is?
I would love to know.
Yeah. Well, what do we know specifically with investors right now? Right now.
End of the year.
Why is that important?
Well, because tax season ends on the 31st.
Ah,
And they want to unload, get their money, and then not have it fall through to the next year.
right. Rob Tate.
Well, and if they want to reinvest into an opportunity fund, they have to close on something by the 31st.
That is a key. Both these are key points, right? We see this every year. Now, here's where part of this might be happening from the investor side right now. What do we know about next year?
It's an election.
It's an election year. Why is that important?
Hopefully there's a little bit of
Say that again, Jenny?
Uncertainty.
Uncertainty, right. Now, what do we also know about the financial markets, which ties into investors in an election year?
They're artificially propped up.
So they dance, right? As we get closer to November of 2020, you'll see the markets continue to dance. So the investors right now, the savvy investors that are out there, are taking advantage of the tax benefits of 2019. Because truth be told, we don't know what those are going to be in 2020. We really don't. So if there's a cabinet change or there's anything like that, regardless of political standpoint, there's always uncertainty. Here's another thing that's interesting. What's going on with China right now?
Stocks are tanking.
Why?
That I don't know. I've just seen it go through the ticker that, I mean, we were looking at it, what was that, Friday? Drops 40% in an hour. They had to shut the market down.
It dropped another percent yesterday.
Yeah.
Last night.
So I'm going to ask the question to everyone as well. Why do you think that's happening? Why do you think that, and why would that have anything to do with our market?
Well, I thought it would be a good thing because the trade relations are better.
Are they?
No.
Yeah. It's a lot of the challenge, and you're onto that, Cindy. A lot of the challenge is that the relationship has been strained, and that's been kind of blasted all over the place. Anytime you have that, and it's a major import and export, the U.S. being a major import and export to China and vice versa, then you're going to see instability, which instability in the financial market means the stocks are starting to drop, and they dance.
Well, and the largest holder of our debt, and that a lot of our debt is in mortgages, is China.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that directly affects Fannie and Freddie's performance and what people feel about that, what China's going to do based on, the Trump conversations falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the biggest holder of our debt is China.
Right, which is a massive deal when we're talking about the interest rates and loan programs, all kinds of different things going on that we deal with on a daily basis. My question is, are we being able to relate this to having that conversation with a buyer and a seller? Asking them what they're seeing. By doing that, it's showing that you are not just a professional realtor as far as the housing industry, but because you're constantly watching all the different influences that happen. We saw this up north when the barrels of oil dropped. Oh my goodness, Renee. I mean, we saw relocation shut down completely. We saw folks who had their home and they were just barely being able to lease it because they couldn't even cash flow that. So anytime you see market instability, you're going to see movement going on, and especially in the housing market, which is tied to all of this. One of the things, and it's a snowball effect, as the stock market continues to flex, as we go into 2020, the opportunities we have with China, the challenges we have with China, and that's not just China, by the way. We have discounted barrels of oil come in from the Middle East. That will impact us here in Denver, I promise you. So it's not necessarily being an economist, but it is being able to be a relationist and pull this together to where you can have a very high-level conversation with our buyers and sellers. That's what separates you from the pack, is that education piece. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later on in the meeting. And I think that's really important because some of this is directly influenced and some is indirect influence. We saw the price of steel go down. We could see, literally, tying this into the housing market, we could see the cost for the builders and building a 3-4 bedroom home go up because the nails cost more now, all the way down to that, or lumber, or any of those pieces. That's what will actually impact new construction. New construction is an indicator on our resale market as well. What concessions are they giving? Right? Are they doing price drops? We're starting to see right now that there's concessions being given in new construction. We haven't seen that in a few years. So the opportunity is to start paying attention to that from the eyes of a realtor that says, how does this impact us? You know, there's a famous radio station, right, Renee?
Yes.
What's that radio station?
WYFM, yeah.
What does that stand for?
What's in it for me?
Absolutely. So our clients are thinking the same thing, right? The key is going to be is how do we have these conversations? And I love that, by the way. And it's how do we have these conversations that can separate us from the pack? Because if I'm looking to list my home next summer, I sure as heck want to know if I'm going to take a $25,000 or $50,000 price drop when I could have listed it in the spring instead, when the inventory was lower. So are we having these types of conversations? Win with Sellers is coming up. It's going to be awesome.
Is it?
Yes, it will, Renee.
Yes, it will be.
We have an international instructor who will be here, our very own Renee Helton, that's going to be teaching us. And it's one of her favorite classes to teach, right?
It is. It's a big deal right now.
It's a very, very big deal. So I just wanted to start with that. So let's as we move on to the meeting, just those are some different conversations. Start paying attention to how things are flexing right now. Not just in your local market, not just in the Colorado market, but nationally, internationally, how are things moving? Because it can impact you.
Can I?
Yes, please.
I think John had something, and didn't you have your hand raised? You had something to add, like 3 minutes ago? No? Okay. Gary Keller did a triangle about 3 years ago. Maybe it was 4. I know. It's crazy that he would have done that from the stage. And he was like, exactly what you were saying around these economic factors, just to make it real clear. We should be able to have a conversation, an elevator speech around what's going on in the job market and speak intelligently about the economics around that, banking and finance, and then at the top of that little triangle was the housing market.
Right.
And be able to, at any moment in time, have this conversation with whoever out there, any consumer out there, because they are getting their information from the media, which is primarily 6 months behind whatever is really happening today.
Right.
So just, to always know that conversation is so appropriate.
I think, well, and tying on to that too, what is the purpose of, I get the purpose of the media, let's just start with that, is to share the story. Oh, Rob, what is the purpose?
The purpose of the media?
Yeah.
It's to sell advertising.
So, no, but being very real, right? Being very real. How are the stories created? They're created with triggers. It's emotional triggers in order to get the papers sold, get the magazines sold, get the online clicks, all of those pieces of subscriptions. So our clients become emotionally charged because they're reading all of this stuff. It is our opportunity to step in, pull the emotion out, and say, have you thought about it from this perspective? No one else is having that conversation with them. The key piece around that is asking the question right after that. Robin, now that I've shared that with you and you have a clear, you have somewhat a clear expectation about the housing market and how it's influenced, quick question for you. 2 or 3 people I can call today or this week that I can share that same information with. Because the last thing I want is at a weak moment to pick a weak agent.
Well, and if you can't understand the leading and lagging indicators that go into the housing market, then you have no idea what's going to happen outside of what's happening right now that you can pull up in the MLS. Like, correct. If you don't understand where unemployment's at and the only direction it could go over the next few years, you can't make predictions about the housing market. You don't know if it's better to sell in the summer or the spring or the fall. You have no clue. Like, you gotta study these things.
Right.
For what?
Right. And I think, yeah, exactly. It's the why that follows up with all of this. And it's, the markets it happened before, it will happen again. The markets change, they shift, sometimes it's slowly, and it's just like we talked about before, it's building that cornice. So as each layer of snow, as each layer of influence comes on the housing market, eventually that cornice is going to come down. When that cornice comes down, there's your avalanche. The key is to be able to show what these indicators are while they're happening, before they've happened. So if you have more questions about that, come see us. I think it's extremely important to be able to tie that together. So
Isn't that in Gary's vision speech that he does every year at family reunion, that he lays all this stuff out? And he walks in with orange binders that he's memorized, and him and Jay Papazan go through all of that, and it's so worthwhile going back and watching that. And
that's a great tip.
It's also what a prophet, I swear.
yeah,
They know at such a deep instinctual level.
Yeah.
That what they say actually happens.
Correct.
the other person
Like
to watch for locally is Patty Silverstein, or Steen, whichever it is. She will do a lunch and learn at Smedra, and it always sells out. So when you see it pop up, you gotta jump in, and it's free to go if you're a Smedra member, and y'all are. You go in, and she will talk about what's going on locally in the state, and then give a little bit of an overview nationally. And then Lawrence Yoon is an NAR economist, and he's another one that packs a house out that you can go to NAR's website, look up Lawrence Yoon, Y-U-N, and listen to his overview of this. So you get all three of those lined up, and you're unstoppable. You know what you need to know.
Well, the key is you know the why behind it. You know, it's the relation of the conversation. So it's not all these separate conversations that we're trying to plug together. They all tie together. They all talk together. The question is, how do they talk together, and why is that important? And that's what you can find out. So that's great, Debbie. Awesome. All right, let's keep on moving here. So one of the things with our office, our environment, our KW family here that we have is our culture, which is absolutely incredible. I mean, I truly mean that, is that we stand alone when it comes into Denver as one of the absolute top brokerages in Denver, in Colorado. We won the award, right? So we have something to share with you that's awesome. And Danielle, you're going to be sharing it, right, on Jamie's behalf. So let's give Danielle a big round of applause. Come on up, Danielle. And Seamus. Yeah.
Well, I'll start off real quick. We're doing a 50-50 drawing. Those of you who don't know what a 50-50 drawing is, it's $5 to enter, you get a ticket. Half of that money is going to go to the office's KW Cares to help take care of what Danielle's going to be talking about. The other half goes into your pockets. Or as we've seen in years past, it's been donated all the way back into the office KW Cares. Because we don't have a ton of people in here today, we're going to start the 50-50 drawing today. And we're going to do it all the way through Friday afternoon. And Jamie and I will get together and we'll do a Facebook Live video and announce the winner on that. So if you want to enter into the 50-50 drawing, again, it's $5 per ticket. Raise your hand, I'll come run around and give you guys your tickets. If you just want to do a flat out donation, you can do that as well. Free to do that. So I'll go ahead and start that who wants it.
And just to make, these are not one and the same, these are totally separate. So I'm filling in for Jamie Principal today, and we are adopting 3 families over the holidays. December 18th is our deadline. One of our families are asking for beds. 3 of the kids have no beds. I know that we all have wants, but we really don't have a lot of need, if you put that into perspective. So we're really looking for cash donations for the beds themselves. We're looking for mattresses, box springs, and frames, again, cash donations, so that we can go and purchase those ourselves. There's, again, 2 other families that are in need. The average is 5 to 9 years old. And you do not have to wrap the gifts. If you just want to buy them, purchase them, bring them in, we will wrap them. Let us know who the gift is for. You can also have it shipped to the office, and that makes it easy, especially if you have an Amazon account. And that's about it. So again, please donate to our family as a group. There's a lot of agents here, and we can fulfill all of these needs. So I'll go ahead and pass this around. Yeah.
Okay, so if we've already bought something for that, how do we make sure that it's not duplicated?
Well, there's a sign-up sheet, so just fill in your name of what you want to purchase. I'm not sure what you purchased.
It's already on Jamie's desk.
Okay.
So just sign it, cross it off.
Exactly. Yeah, so I'll pass this around, and for those of you who have teens and they're not here, let the teens know as well.
When do we need to have this by?
December 18th.
December 18th. Okay, so, I'm sorry? John?
One. We need one.
How short are they on the beds?
Money for the beds, I'm sure.
As far as I know, they have no money at this point. There have been no cash.
us.
How short are we? I'm not even really sure how much is needed for the beds.
Well, and we did have an agent's parents step up that say they want to pay for one in full. So we do have at least one covered, but there are still 2 other families that any cash money that's given in will go to offset any cost of any other gifts that still need to be purchased for the other families.
So the beds themselves are covered?
One is covered.
And then we're working with, one of Kristen's clients and old neighbors and friends who works for American Furniture, and Jay Jobs will donate a lot of things or do it for a minimal fee.
I heard it was gonna be discounted, but not free.
Yeah, so I don't know what that will equate to. It's a set of bunk beds and then a twin bed.
So, I mean, even just kind of to dive into that, John, even if we look at the cost of a bunk bed, what would you say, brand new bunk bed?
Oh, no.
No, $400?
Yeah.
Right, for a kid's bed. Kid's bed, right?
Box springs and mattress and everything?
Well, a bunk bed, you don't have a box spring.
You said a mattress.
Right, so if you had a completely assembled bunk bed, top down, pillows, everything, the whole deal, right? Say about
6.
six maybe,
only
I mean,
somebody
go
had
up to
two.
1,000 and then
That's
worst
what
case
I'm like, we
scenario,
don't have to
right?
wonder about these things.
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, ballpark something between 750 and 1,000.
Yeah.
I think that would cover everything.
Yes.
The key is we have one bed right now, let's not leave the other 2 siblings without beds.
It's anywhere from
Right.
300 to 1,100
Okay,
Per bed, so you short.
for a bunk bed.
right.
Here's one at Better Homes and Gardens for $165.
And Jamie's working on finding all that stuff. Like I said, any extra
So we're
funds
just
will
short
be
that
put.
one, 165?
$200.
I'll
Done
donate
deal.
right now.
Yeah. And we
$65,
have
buy it.
a list on Facebook also that Jamie
Yes,
is
thank you, Renee.
taking. Most of ALC has put up cash, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've already had a couple agents put in $100 and $150 online yesterday, so.
Yeah.
You know what, if you end up with more cash than what you needed to buy the items on there, then you turn them into King Super's gift cards and they can buy other things, right?
Exactly.
And with the kids with the beds, we're looking to buy them more than just beds. Because, you know, a 5 and a 7-year-old, a bed is great, but, you know, they
You
need
can only bounce on it.
They're kids.
Yeah, we
Right,
don't like
yeah.
sushi though.
So we have huge hearts. And that's one of, I mean, not really, we have a heart-to-heart award right out there that is, we are the #1 office in Colorado. Within all the Keller Williams offices, 25 offices, we are the #1 office for donations to KW Cares, which is a huge thing. So this is another opportunity for us to make a difference, and what an incredible story to share with our database about how we pour into our community, especially for those who are in need. That is an awesome, awesome conversation to have. So, all right, very good. Do we have anything else on that?
Well, I just want to comment on the $165 bed. We don't want the bed to fall apart on them either. I mean, you want to give them something in the middle.
Right, I mean, the point is there's a huge
Huge
range.
range.
Take whatever cash you need.
Well, if someone else stand up and put in another 165. What the hell are you talking about?
Scott Buhner
That's a
donated
great
150
donation.
already.
There you go, there's
William
150,
Pretzer
yeah.
donated 100. I got 100. Got
He's
100
got
there.
100. Awesome.
Yeah, Jamie
Awesome.
gave
It's gonna be some
Awesome.
nice stuff.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, really, this is how we step up. It's who we are. So, very cool. All right, let's keep on going here. So, keeping on going. We're still on culture. So we're gonna go 4 conversations, I think is where we're at. 4 conversations. So, knowing your numbers. Listing appointments. The key piece about listing appointments is contacts, right? We don't make the contacts, and it's very difficult to make the appointments. That would make sense. So what my question is when we look at conversation number 1 here, how many of us took the opportunity of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Thanksgiving, holiday parties, things like that to build up our contacts? Shannon, you did, awesome. So there's opportunity that's all around us right now to be able to add to our database and reach out to those as a simple conversation, just as happy holidays, right? Something easy. Happy holidays, what are you and your family planning for this holiday season, right? What is something that I specifically could do to help you during the next X amount of weeks before the end of the year? Whether that's, I mean, it could be donation, it could be, it could have all different types of levels. The key piece here is it's contacts. So do we have a plan? You know, we talk about gold, it's 20 contacts a day, 100 contacts a week. What is our personal contact goal for the holiday season?
10 a week.
10 a week.
Yes.
It depends on who that 10 is, right? And
I think I'm doing just fine. I like my 10 a week.
so the key around that, right, is going to be you have to have a goal and a system around this.
I was
So-
gonna say, no, you're not.
It's 10 a day.
Right? Are you guys with me or not? Because if you're not with me, it's fine. But if you're with me, then this is the opportunity where you can take 15 to 20 listings in the first quarter when the inventory is at its lowest time, which will then create a massive launch pad for your business into 2020, because most of your competition is sleeping right now. Trust me, I'm on the phones with them. Really, with the top agents in this area I'm on the phones with, and they're taking time off. And they're slowing down and their year is over. Here's the reality. Their year is not going to pick back up again until February or March. So the opportunity that you have right now is finite. It ties into SMART goals. Are they specific, measurable, accountable, realistic, and timely? So if you go back to the conversation number 1 of listing appointments, how many listing appointments do we need to take in December and going into January in order to propel us into our 2020 goals? That would be the ultimate question, because once we know the how many, then we can go back into the who do we need to contact? Is it business to business? Are we being strategic with it? Are we making the contacts in holiday parties? What opportunities are right in front of us that we can have and take advantage of? Are we reaching out to our favorite vendors? Right? Title companies are going crazy right now. It's end of year. So wouldn't it be amazing to contact your favorite title company that you do most of your closings at and say, hey, you know what? I wanted to make sure I reached out to all of my past sales here this year in 2019 and was able to give them a HUD in advance, not when tax time is here, but in advance as just a Christmas present that says, hey, I just wanted to let you know you're going to need this in April. Was thinking about you and your family. How's your new home? Conversations like that. That's being very, very strategic. And it's something that they need. Any questions around that? Nope. All right. So we talked about 2 weeks ago knowing your competition. So who was in our room 2 weeks ago? Awesome. I was a little bit on fire that day, right?
Yeah.
So what were some ahas that you pulled from 2 weeks ago? And we'll start with that piece.
Don't believe the advertising being put out by other companies.
Ooh,
Check it out for yourself.
yeah, actual numbers versus the talk, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a great aha. What's another one?
7-day listing.
What do you mean by that, Robin?
Well, wasn't that where we were talking about showing somebody what I can do for you in 7 days? You don't want to list your home right now, try me out for a week.
Right.
And see what I can do.
Absolutely. Could even be a weekend, right? Could even be a three-day listing. So that's a great, absolutely. So knowing the competition, knowing what's being said versus the actuals. The key piece around this and the 7-day listing, the 3-day listing, 24-hour listing, the key piece around this is how are we sharing this story with our clients? how are we sharing a story at a listing appointment? Going back to that conversation number 1, or a buyer consultation, right? So some of this is going to say, okay, know the competition, know what's really going on. There was a discount broker that we highlighted, and I got a little bit energized around, that has 131 agents, and the closed volume, 131 agents, closed volume 60 million. For the brokerage, right? We're at 262 million. We have teams. We have teams that literally are pressing on that $60 million mark, a team in our office. And there's teams right behind it pushing, right along with that. Are we sharing that story? Because it's massively powerful when we start talking about cutting commissions. Start talking about discount brokers, flat fees, all of those pieces, right? When that happens and we can share cost versus value, this is the value that you have. So what we're going to do, and I'm going to do this a little bit differently today, and I'd love to see everyone kind of get together and do a few, I know we're kind of spread out here, so a few tables. We're going to do an activity. And what I'd like you to do is flip over your agenda to the back here. The 3 main competitors we talked about 2 weeks ago were RE/MAX, Coldwell Banker, and Realty One. So with your table, what are some of the pros and cons to each one of these? And here's what I want you to think about this when you're doing this activity. What do your clients think the pros and cons are? If you didn't have a real estate license and you were not a realtor here in Denver and actively selling, what would that perception be for you? So with that, let's spend the next 10 minutes going over this. Actually, the next 9 minutes going over this. And there's several different columns here. There's other direct competitors underneath here that don't have the same market share, yet we do see their signs in the yards. So part of this is creating a story to where you can be able to share that at your listing appointment to say, this is what separates us. So if you would, everyone, let's mix the tables up here, and let's start talking and having some conversation around pros, cons, value proposition, market niche. All right, ready, set, go.
Come on down. Come play.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
It's the natural ranking.
Yeah.
It's the yield to it.
That's not dragging about sign.
Especially where gravel. I know you can't. So, next year.
Yeah.
And that's on the agent side. We try to do it.
We don't know a lot about it.
Yeah, we don't use that
I think it's that.
Yes.
Patrick? I have.
Right.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty good. If I'm a new
So what's your perception?
I have 200 agents in my office. I can ask them,
I mean, I don't
I
really think.
whereas if I emax store it,
Other than that,
And their tech is like.
And it's.
As far as technology.
I mean, I think some of the pictures,
So that's what I'm looking
That's,
around
yeah,
for
part
clients.
of it is their,
EXP or, I don't even know if you see it.
they look at Remax, Remax Pro School.
Right, like some of these is supposed to be.
That's
high-end.
So that's what I mean though. That's an aha as well as. So that's how it's
Their value, their own value proposition.
They do, again,
So we all know.
Well, so the difference, so my perception as a grocery officer, my perception is actually easier. That's where they are. I can tell you that they want to fail. So as much as
You know what I'm surprised, I didn't know this area. It's because they're not really.
You see more of that. Statistically, you're walking out, it's good out in the downtown areas, Washmark, Capitals, Highlands. Things like
I'm surprised.
Actually.
You're not wrong. I'm very lucky I saw it.
Because they're offering this huge. Our footprint is. So they're direct ties to our country. However. And I don't know a lot about Coldwell Banker.
I just don't see
your cards have to look at dollars. They're I don't think that's all. I think they go, where best place to live is.
Second is like.
But they're losing.
Who's the best agent for 21 cash flow?
I'd say they're really.
So if they
Yeah, I didn't even, that's not it.
So 51 is kind of.
Oh, let's look at this on.
Yeah, some of these is.
And it's not there in my next. And you'll probably do this. You don't know it. Yeah. I'm not. I don't know.
So they're pro, the consumer.
Pros, Priscilla. Pros.
Discount, yeah. It is part of everything.
I would say, I don't think it's hard to say this is
I think it did.
Well, they used to be separate.
I mean, I don't know how to strategically.
So,
Other than.
When I used to cake and I was paying they're very organic.
Oh, yeah.
No, and that's why I think
I had some, there's another Asian mother in this office. It's research and I work with numbers and everything. So I'm smart from an agency standpoint, financial consensus. You're good at doing 2 to 3 million. That's all you're. You're a standard engineer.
All right, let's go ahead and unpack this a little bit. So I've overheard a lot of really good and interesting conversations. So which table would like to go first? And we'll unpack this and talk about it. So I want this to be a live conversation. Yep, awesome, Jenny.
We'll get this one done first. Question.
So my question is when you were looking at this, when you're going through that, what were some of the pros and cons? What did the table come up with? What's the perception?
The pros for us were that we give our information freely and that we try and educate everyone. The Zillows, Open Doors, Amazon discounters, they do not do so. So therefore, you could potentially end up with a lower net at the end.
So the limited information could equal a lower net.
Correct.
For the consumer. Okay. Okay.
Quality of service and accuracy you get what you pay for.
Quality of service, get what you pay for. I like that as well. I really like that. So when we're looking at you get what you pay for going into a discount broker, going into someone who's cutting their commission, the service level drops. Is that what we're saying?
Like another number.
Like non-existent.
Or non-existent?
Non-existent.
Okay.
And as Debbie said, you can go to Nordstrom's or Kmart to get a different level.
Interesting. One's still in business.
Yes.
I think it was the mother that Diana Picasso said, does Nordstrom's freak out when Walmart has a sale?
Very true. Doesn't even hit the radar.
Right.
Ever. Right? I love that.
Right.
Yeah. And people understand that perception.
Right.
And there's enough for all of it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's a place for both of those.
That's awesome. So our table over here, what did we come up with? Thank you.
I don't know how y'all get down there.
Yeah, really. We're still like level one.
We were really interested in talking about Remax and Coldwell Banker, and the pros for both of those companies is their national branding and marketing. Their cons is kind of what you guys were mentioning about culture. Their technology is virtually non-existent. Coldwell Banker, we talked about their value proposition, their niche is their reload.
Okay.
Their relocation was sent in. I didn't know, that's news to me.
Yeah.
I'd like to know more about that. And then we jumped down to we talked a lot about Sotheby's is for sure high-end luxury. HomeSmart is an interesting.
Yeah, I mean, when we were looking at HomeSmart, it's on the consumer standpoint, we didn't really, I mean, there's not much. What we were talking about there is more on the agent side. Why does an agent go there? You're alone on your island, you're doing your own thing, and it's fine. There's not education, so there's not that growth potential, and that's statistically, you know, people at HomeSmart, those agents they're just gonna go in, they're gonna do their 8 deals max a year, but they're not gonna do any more. They're not gonna grow. So you've got an agent that is just kind of, they're doing their thing.
So why would a seller care about that?
Well, because
Or a buyer.
they're not growth minded. I mean,
Okay.
we're here, you know, and going into that culture and that open door, you know, here in Keller Williams as an agent, if I don't know the answer, I've got 200 agents in my office that I can go ask.
Okay.
That we can grow. Whereas a HomeSmart agent, they're, you know, kind of set in their ways, they're going to do their thing. And the way the market's shifting, if we're going to have to be, when we're being forced to be creative on the sales side, they have no one to lean on. They have no imagination to, how do we think outside the box on this deal?
Okay.
So.
Okay, I love that. How about our table over here?
Yeah, kind of the same thing. Under Remax and Caldwell Banker, I guess we were trying to really focus from the point of view of the public.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Trying to keep it there. Both situations, brand names, national commercials. Remax definitely does protect the balloon, if you will.
Okay.
Caldwell Banker, we kind of felt like they were a little more old school.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. I think they would relate more to maybe possibly over focus. We kind of forgot about the relocation, but I'm not sure how much they're going to be younger. It's kind of the way they operate with old school. And then we just kind of went down into Zillow and Open Door, just from the pros, from the public's point of view. You know, once again, they sell the whole ease of transaction.
Right.
But obviously, the con would be is the money that you're leaving on the table.
Right.
So that's kind of about as far as we got. I think.
Okay. I love that. I love that. Awesome. Gentlemen, how we do?
So our biggest thing is that for Remax and us, especially comparing those two pros, is that these are huge. You know, you can say that to anybody, anywhere. I work for Remax, I work for Keller Williams, and they know what you do. And you know, many of these other, I think even Caldwell Banker, but these other companies, that's a con for them. But if you don't know about those Sotheby's, even though they're super high in real estate, if you're not in that kind of realm, you have no idea. If someone says, I work for Sotheby's, you don't have to know.
Sure.
What that means necessarily. So that's one of those little cons for, as far as I'm concerned, everyone but Remax and us, maybe Caldwell Banker. And then, you know, as far, as market niches, you know, we can cover that by all these things. Like we were talking about 200 agents in this office and people that have different kind of experiences, different levels of expertise. So we can look at our value propositions that no matter what, we can, you know, help you with your investments, we can help you with your million or multiple other properties, or, you know, the Sotheby's, that's all they do, or you know, HomeSmart, all they do is, you know, the $300,000, $200,000 homes continuously. So we've got that kind of umbrella coverage.
Okay. Okay. So more of an umbrella coverage. Awesome. How about our table right here? That lots of love going on here. Great job, by the way. How about, you know, this is interesting because, and we'll spend just a minute on this as well, which I thought, Rob, I really do. I think that what we were talking about is a different idea, and it is a different perspective. So, Rob, what were we chatting about?
I was struggling because I don't view any of these as my competitors, right? Like, and I don't think the consumer has a branding mental mind share necessarily for most of them. I mean, yeah, there's some recognition. Like, I've heard of Remax, right? Like, because they've been around so long. But most of these guys don't have brand recognition. They're not attempting to be client facing. For most of them, I mean, Zillow and Open Door are, but for most of them, they're not. They're trying to attract agents, and agents are thus trying to attract clients. They make all their money off of agents, you know, activities, and so I think, like, I don't think people know if Remax has good technology or not. I don't think people know that Coldwell Banker lost their relocation deal. Like we all do because they're trying to recruit and attract us. But I view my competition, you know, as more people like, you know, not to say anybody in this room is my direct competitor, but like agents are my competitor. Like who's going up against me in that listing presentation? That's who my competitor is. Who's calling other for sale by owners like we are? That's my competition. That's who I need to differentiate myself against. Not a Remax or I don't even know why Realty One's on the list. Like they're just dumb.
Same, we said the same thing. I don't even know who they are.
We struggled with that as well. We had it right.
Interesting. Well, isn't that wild, right? So you struggle with the fact that that other company is on the
and I don't
list.
even know who CHR is. Like who's CHR?
Yeah, who's CHR?
Colorado Home Realty.
That doesn't
Now-
help.
So here's what's interesting, and this is why,
They have a great space on downtown.
right? So this is what's interesting. What is the public hearing?
I don't think so. They're not doing enough advertising for the public hearing. They're not. None of these guys are Pepsi. They're not spending all of this money. None of them are a car company. They're not spending all of this money. The only way the consumer hears about their brand is sometimes the sign in the R or how much the agent chooses to promote the brand, which is dumb, right? Don't do that. Promote yourself, not the brand.
Which is why you're with Keller and not Caldwell.
So this is good. So
I stir the pot.
Zach,
So I do a lot of like expires and these other direct competitors, CHR, Torchlight, Home Smart, York Castle, the listing office are them. So that's what's probably the public is hearing. Like their neighbor listed with them, didn't sell, like don't use them.
interesting. So
A lot of
you've
times
seen that on the expired
Yeah,
side.
and a lot of times if they do list with someone, it's a lot of times someone else than CHR, York Castle.
That's definitely public perception. Awesome, Robin.
Well, calling on expireds or for sale by owners, they definitely know Keller Williams. Yeah, because I get an earful. You're that 15th Keller Williams agent.
Awesome. I love the fact we're working.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that they do know about us because we're out there prospecting.
Do you think if you said I'm Robin Boyd with Remax, they would say, you're the 5th Remax? Do you think that would happen?
Not when Bold's going on.
I think they would say. I think they'd say you're the
Agent.
5th damn agent,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but they specifically say Keller
Keller
Williams.
Williams.
Because
Huh.
we're out there, contacting.
That's a powerful statement. So John,
Let's say I joined Keller Williams in 1996. First 8 years, public out there thought we were a pain
right. You're so right. I saw that in Anchorage. You're so right.
Sherwood Williams.
Yeah.
Area.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So our company has done a tremendous amount to promote us as individuals.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should leave that out of this.
It's true.
When you're dealing with the public, you're dealing with the largest worldwide real estate company in the world that has inter-agent cooperation far surpassing anyone else. And has the opportunity to share in their own profitability.
And how does the consumer know that?
We gotta tell them,
Right. That's the only way
that's
that
exactly
Keller
right.
gets the word out. We do not advertise publicly.
Right,
We
the only thing we
grew this
got
way
now
in
is we got
36
signs.
years
The
from us.
public knows that, because I'll tell you right now, there's more Keller Williams signs out there. Any other
Amen.
company.
Well, but
Absolutely.
we're such a fractured brand in that respect because we allow our agents. I mean, look at my sign. This sign.
Doesn't look
Cover
like
your ears,
anything.
Debbie. There's not an ounce of red on it, right? Like,
There is Keller.
It's very,
Yeah, we don't.
I just saw your sign, where was I? It just saw one of your signs, I'm like,
Well, it's gotta say Keller Williams, right?
right.
It says Keller Williams.
Yeah, legally. Well, if you go to Rockville, you gotta have brown signs.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's the point I'm making, and this is why we made this a focus of our coaching corner for 2 team meetings. How well do we know our story? How well do we know our office's story? How well do you know your business's story? And do you know how? And literally, do you know who's going to also be competing with you on listings? How are you going to have that conversation when it turns into value versus cost? Everybody's cutting their commission, Shannon. Why don't you cut yours? Right? Like how? Those are real conversations. No one sells a home in the wintertime. What's so special about you? That's real, right? So we either have an opportunity to embrace the culture piece and have our story that we absolutely own and internalize, and be able to share that story. Because John, you're right, and Rob, you're right, and literally our whole room, what we're talking about, every one of you is right. You're absolutely correct. And the key behind this is going to be, how are we sharing that story? So you have an awesome opportunity in front of you right now. It's the holiday season. There's holiday parties going on. There's pop-bys. There's New Year's coming up. There's Christmas coming up. There's all these different platforms to be able to go out, increase your database, and have powerful conversations. Also, on top of that, most of your competition, I'm going to say it again until it, like, I'll say it over and over. Most of your competition is sleeping right now. So if I have the opportunity to go on 10 listing appointments in a week, heck yeah. The key behind that is, how well do I know my story and able to share that and articulate that so that that consumer goes, holy cow, I'm listing with you. That's powerful. And that's what creates a listing inventory, not taking one listing, taking 10 in a month. That's what starts that. So we'll kind of dive in. We're out of time today. And that was really the point of all this, is to understand what our story is. And that's why you also on that sheet at the bottom have KW, Keller Williams, and also Keller Williams Executives, because our stories interchange. Questions, comments? All right, awesome. So with that, I'd love to invite our sponsor up to the front. And Amber, if you could flip that for me, please. I do too, because it's technology and that's what we do. Air media? Computer. All right. So with that, we have upcoming events. And before, let me go ahead and, Deb, did you have something for Broker Bites real quick?
Yeah, well, it's a whole video that is on the new NAR MLS policy on coming soon listings. So the 24-hour listings, you're not gonna be able to do that by January 1.
Okay.
So we'll do it next team meeting for sure. And I think what we'll do is also put it in the Thursday email that goes out. I would watch that video so you don't get in trouble. The ruling, the changes January 1, and it's fully implemented. I mean, fines will start being assessed on May 1st.
I thought that was an individual local decision.
We
have to abide
So
by
nope, it goes all the way across. So check out the video and be here at team meeting next week. This is really important. Plus, we have a special surprise next week as well. So be here for that and Broker Bites. Upcoming events. So really important here. December 10th next week, we have from 10 to 11:30 our tenant appreciation here in our building. So you do have to RSVP for it. It is required.
There's a sheet going around for it.
So yep, there's a sheet going around for it. If you're watching online, reach out to us. We'll get you RSVP'd. On September 11th, we have the Ugly Sweater Party and Holiday Potluck after the team meeting. That is next week. So sign up to bring a side dish, dessert, or drink at the front desk. $50 Amazon gift card to the best ugly sweater. So think about that one. That'll be fun. And then on the 12th, absolutely critical in the fourth quarter and the first quarter is Win with Sellers. And Renee is awesome at teaching this. So it's one of
free lunch.
And you get a free lunch, right? I want to make this really clear. When we have here in our office, we have coaches, international coaches, we have international instructors, we have other offices that pay thousands and thousands of dollars to fly them all across the country, even Africa, right? So be here and support Renee, support Win with Sellers, because that's what's going to make a massive difference in your business and taking listing after listing in the fourth quarter. So
you will make money from that class.
yes, you will.
And the $10 is just for the materials.
Awesome. So $10. I mean, $10. Look at your rate of return on that one, right? $10,000.
You can wait and take it from somebody else who knows who and pay $130. That's true.
Very true. I'd rather be here. So with that, let's go ahead and pass it to Jet closing. So thank you very much for your patience. Come on up. Let's give it a big round of applause.
Hi everyone, so I'm Kathy Mancini with Jet Closing. How many of you here have heard of us? Okay, pretty good, probably half.
So we are a tech-based title and escrow company. We're the only one of our kind in the Denver market. We're relatively new to the market, so if you haven't heard of us, that's okay, you will. We are focused on making your lives easier through technology. We have an app where you can, in real time, watch your transaction throughout escrow as each step is reached. There's also a tab in the app where all of your documents are housed, all of your contacts related to the whole transaction. So really great way to stay organized, especially as you increase in volume of files that you're managing. Sometimes I feel like working with agents, I hear, I send my contract to title, and then it's kind of just wait and see. And you might hear something that comes up. Usually there always is a little something that comes up with every file regarding title and escrow. This is a great way for you to be able to stay right on top of it. We also have some other cool features. We offer a mobile earnest money deposit option, so your buyers can go ahead and do that. We also have commission checks for you sent digitally through email immediately as soon as the closing is complete. And yeah, I mean, we're just, I would love to meet with any of you who'd like to find out more. And if you have any questions now, I would be happy to answer them.
Are you able to stick around for a little bit after the meeting, and then that way
I would love to.
single and everything? Awesome.
Yeah, I would love to. And I will pass around my cards, but yeah, feel free to touch base after the meeting.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, so we went over upcoming events. With that, we're going to go ahead and close the meeting. We went a couple minutes over. Think of some different ways where you can put what we talked about today into action items. Is it going to a holiday party and having these conversations? Is it being able to reach out to your database, have these conversations? This is one of the very best times of the year to be able to reach out emotionally and have high-powered conversations that produce results. So with that, have an awesome week. We'll see you next week. Do not miss it, and we'll talk to you then. All right, guys. Enjoy lunch.
Yeah, lunch.